Number 3, tasters, samplers, and growlers. You can describe a beer all day long, but the truth is, the best way to get a guest to fall in love with our beer is to have them drink it. That is why we have multiple ways that guests can enjoy our beer besides just ordering a glass. Tasters. A taster is a 1 ounce pour of our beer that any guest that is legally able to consume alcohol can have before they order a glass. If a guest is trying to decide between 2 beers, don't leave them in agony. Let them know you will be right back with a taster of each beer to help them decide. All tasters must be entered into the POS system and picked up at the bar. Tasters need to be run to the guest immediately. Now, not only are tasters a great way to help a guest decide what to order, they are also a great way to get your guests excited about beers that they have never tried. At some point before the check is dropped, you are expected to bring a beer taster to every guest that has ordered a beer. This beer taster should be a beer that you choose that is different than the beer that the guest is currently enjoying. It could be our newest seasonal, a beer that pairs well with what the guest is eating, or just your personal favorite. Let's take a look at this in action.
All right, gentlemen, have you decided on something to drink?
Yeah, I think I'd like to try the Kolsch.
Okay, Kolsch, great choice. And I see you're still looking at the beer list. Is there something you normally drink?
I usually like an IPA.
Okay.
This white ale looks pretty good.
Okay, great. The IPA will give you the hoppiness you're used to, while the white ale has a nice citrus flavor. I can actually give you a taster of each so that you can decide.
That sounds great, thanks.
Okay, great. I'll be right back with those. All right, gentlemen, here's the Kolsch for you.
Great, thank you.
And then here I have the IPA. It's got a spicy bitterness from the hops. And here is the white ale. It's an unfiltered wheat beer with coriander and orange peel hints for a really drinkable feel. What do you think?
Well, normally I would go with the IPA, but this white ale is really good.
Okay, great. So I'll get you a pint of the white ale.
Yeah, thanks.
Awesome.
Are you two enjoying your red ale this evening?
Yeah, it's great.
Excellent. Well, I brought you a taster of one of my personal favorites. It's our seasonal Oktoberfest. It's going to be the same color, flavor, and complexity of the red ale that you're currently drinking, but with just a little bit more spice. Okay. So I thought maybe you guys would enjoy that if you want to take a sip. What do you think?
I think I'm going to stick with the red.
Just a little too spicy for you?
Yeah, a little bit.
And what about you?
I love that, man. I'll take one of those.
Excellent. I'll grab you a fresh pint of that. I'll be right back.
Thanks.
Do you see how tasters are a great way to get your guests to try our beer? This little something extra gives your guests something unexpected. It gets them to try something new and quite possibly encourage them to stay a little while longer and enjoy another glass. Samplers. For some guests, choosing just one beer is not an option. They want to try all of our beer. And really, who can blame them? For those guests, a sampler is the best option. Our samplers are served with 6 4-ounce pours of our brewed in-house beers. Guests will receive each one of our house beers along with our seasonal, our brewer's choice we have on tap. You should suggest samplers to any first-time guest or returning guest that just doesn't want to choose. Now, samplers are rung in through the POS and must be served with the beer mat. The beer mat gives a description of each beer and helps the guest keep the beers in order. When delivering a sampler, place the mat down in front of the guest. Then place each sample of beer on the corresponding picture. Invest the time to describe each beer as you set them on the table. Remember, depending on the type of beer guest you have, your descriptions will be a mix of appealing and accurate information. And lastly, encourage the guest to sample the beer from lightest to dark. Now let's take a second and watch what a great sampler delivery looks like.
All right, so we have our beer sampler here. First, we're going to start off with the Kolsch. This is going to be our lightest beer, has a very crisp taste to it. Then we have our white ale. This is our wheat beer. You're going to have definitely an orange hint to that.
Okay.
Our IPA is our hoppiest beer.
I love hops.
And then we have the red ale is our maltiest beer. It's my favorite, it's really good. Then we have the dark beer, our specialty dark right now is the Imperial Stout. It's definitely have a lot of chocolatey hints to that.
Awesome.
Then our seasonal, the Rocktober. This is very similar to our red. The only difference is that it has a more of a spicier taste to it.
Beautiful. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Looking forward to it.
So I suggest that you drink the beers from lightest to darkest. It helps bring out the best flavors out of the beers as you go along with them. Do you have any questions?
Great, thank you.
Great.
Did you notice how the server invested time to describe each beer? This is a great way to create a unique guest interaction. Never serve a sampler without taking the time to describe each one of our beers. And remember, when serving a sampler to your guest, the perfect pour standard is still important. Make sure that every beer, even a sampler, is poured perfectly in a beer clean glass. Growlers. One last way our guests fall in love with our beer is by taking a growler to go. A growler is a 64-ounce jug that guests purchase and fill with any of our freshly brewed beers. Growlers are great for tailgates, dinner parties, and a great way to get our beer to people that have never had it before. Growlers are refillable, so guests can keep coming back to get their fresh beer fix. A lot of guests don't know that we can take a growler home. Let your guests know that these are available. Any guest that was blown away by the beer will love to know that they can leave with 64 more ounces of the good stuff. Here's a clip of how this is done.
What'd you think of the IPA?
This is really great beer. Thank you for the suggestion.
Great. Can I grab you another round?
No, actually, we're on our way to a buddy's cookout across town. We got to get going.
Cool. Have you thought about a growler to go?
Growler?
Yeah. Our growlers are these 64-ounce jugs. You can fill it with any of the craft beers that we have on tap, especially the IPA. You can impress all your friends with the awesome beer we have here at Rock Bottom.
That sounds great. This would be way better than any beer we get at the other place.
Great. I'll fill it up for you.
Thanks.
Suggesting growlers is a great way to give guests what they want, more great beer, and also it helps increase your check average, which means more money potential for you. It's a win-win. Well, we are at the end of this segment, and our objective was to help you learn how to use your new beer education to help your guests fall in love with our great beer. Remember, you do this by, number one, telling our beer story during every greet, which highlights the facts that our beer is brewed in-house and fresh. Number two, making great beer suggestions that use a combination of technically accurate information and appealing descriptions. You also learn that your beer descriptions should change based on whether your guests are beer beginners, enthusiasts, or experts. And lastly, number three, you learn that by offering tasters and suggesting samplers and growlers, you can get guests excited about trying new beers that they have never had before. By taking all of what you've learned through this video series and sharing it with your guests, you will undoubtedly help our guests fall in love with what we love, our beer. Cheers.